hello there everyone, my name is Amy, this is The Opinionated Woman, and welcome to Crafty Reads, a series where I craft something. We talk about the last 5 books that I've read. What I'm crafting today, I'm doing a part 1 and a part 2 of crocheting for summer, because it's spring here now, which is great. And I wanted to make stuff that I could actually wear this season. So the thing that I'm currently working on is a top. This is the front panel. So if you want to see the evolution of this and what it turns out looking like and everything like that, subscribe, and that vlog will be coming up soon. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on. Wait, if I can twist it around so that it makes sense. Okay, cool. And yeah, let's get into the books. First book I read was Butter by Asako Yuzuki. And this is a book that I've heard a lot of hype about, and my mom read it and she really enjoyed it. So I decided to give it a go, and we're following our main character Rika, who is a journalist, and she is very taken in by this very famous murderous woman called Manako Kaji, who has been arrested for killing multiple of her lovers. And Manako Kaji is also known for being like really into her food. There's a lot of body shaming in this when it comes to this woman because she's fat, and people talk down about her all the time. There's a lot of negative body talk in this, just to give you a heads up. But Rika decides that she wants to get to know Manako Kaji, and her friend suggests, why not mention food to her in one of the letters that she sent her to the prison, and play into something that Manako Kaji enjoys, because cooking is one of her great loves, and then maybe you'll get an in by doing that. And that's what Rika does, and she starts connecting with Kaji and developing a sort of kind of a slight obsession. She starts making the dishes that she made. At one point she says to her that you have to eat these certain noodles from the certain noodle house at 3 in the morning after you've had sex. She does all that kind of stuff. She gets really caught up in it. And what's interesting to Manako Kaji as a character is that she's in prison for killing all these men, but she is an intense misogynist. She hates women. She thinks that men are superior and that women are full of shit. And so it's just interesting that the people that she's killing are the people that she puts on a pedestal, which is quite interesting. Overall, I really loved the food element to this book. I think that was really well done. The descriptions of food was absolutely beautiful, and really delectable. It was just written really, really well. The thing is, this book was probably it was just too long. It didn't need to be as long as it did, especially because we're not leading to the sort of conclusion that you'd think going into something that's about murder. So it was just too long. I was really enjoying it, and then I found it a bit of a chore to get to finish it. And there's this side sort of quest that Rika's best friend Reiko goes on, and it was just completely unnecessary. It just didn't need to happen at all. So I feel like if you took out that storyline completely, it would have been a little bit shorter and a little bit more digestible. So I think I will try this author's writing again, but yeah, there were just a couple of things that I think needed to be worked on. Then I read The Feast by Margaret Kennedy. My mom suggested this book to me and actually gave me this copy because she's on a narrowboat book called Chris Atomic's Patreon, and this is what they were reading for their book club. And I'd never heard of it before. It was written in the 50s, and I went into it just knowing the premise, and I absolutely loved it. It's probably one of my favorite books of the year. And so The Feast is following the occupants of a hotel in, where is it? Cornwall, called the Pendesac Manor. And right at the beginning of the book, we are told that this hotel falls down the cliff and into the sea. because there was a mine that blew up, because this is like just like during the war. A mine blew up underneath the cliff and disturbed the structure of the manor itself. And but the owners just sort of like keep on bringing guests in anyway. So at the beginning of this, we know that the hotel has fallen down the cliff, and we know that people have died, but we don't know who, and we don't know the circumstances of it. So then we're brought back to the beginning, where like I think a week or so before this happens, so we get to know all of the people that work at the hotel, we get to know the people that run the hotel, we get to know all of the different characters that are staying in the hotel. And like there's some like, because there's interpersonal storylines going on, and sometimes you forget, like, wait a second, this is going to end very, very badly for some of these people, and you start to play this like game in your head where you're like, well, I'll be okay if that person dies, but really, really not okay if that person dies. So I hope they die, but I hope those are saved, and I hope that they happen to not to be there. And it just creates this wonderful tension throughout the whole novel, and it's so well written, so well executed, and you really get like taken up by these characters. You're like you're rooting for them. You like really, really want them to be okay, or the absolute opposite to that, you know, depending on I'm at the end. So I just thought that having these storylines of these different people, and then this tension running through the entire novel, it was just masterfully done, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm so glad my mom gave me this one. The next book I read was The Dinner Lady Detectives by Hannah Hendy, and this sounded right up my alley. I love a cozy mystery, especially when it's got old ladies involved, and this was just that. So we're following our main characters, Clementine and Marjorie, and we realize that they live in the same house. They've been living in the same house for 30 years, and they share a bed. So like, it's just very casually dropped in there that these are gay old lady dinner ladies, which is really sweet. Like, they get into it a little bit more later, but like, that's what a lot of queer people are looking for. They're looking for representation in the most casual of manners. Like, it doesn't need to be all about coming out all the time. It doesn't need to be about hardship. Sometimes you can just have gay dinner ladies, you know, and that's all there is to it, which is a great old time. So right at the beginning of this book, their kitchen manager at the school that they work at is found dead in the walk-in freezer, and the police are convinced that it's a mistake, it was just an accident. But Clementine and Marjorie, especially Clementine, are like absolutely determined. They're convinced that this was a murder and it wasn't actually an accident, and they really want to solve that mystery. So we go through a bunch of different ways of them trying to discover what happened and uncovering all kinds of different things. And then at the same time, there's someone who I think doesn't like that they're looking into this mystery, because obviously they're the ones that are the perpetrators, and they are trying to sabotage Marjorie and Clementine. And it's very funny, it's very slapstick, it's very silly. Like, if you don't want to take something too seriously, it's just a good old silly time, and I had the best time with it. I think it would make a very hilarious British crime series. It's just silly and funny, and it's a series, so I am definitely going to read the next ones when I'm in the mood for something lighthearted and fun. The next book I read is The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill, and this book was one of the first ones that I got recommended to me when I started watching BookTube. I think this book came out in 2018, and people were going, it was at the height of the fairy tale retellings trend, and this was one that was spoken about very, very highly, and I eventually got my hands on it from World Books. So I was like, okay, I'm finally getting to dig into this retelling of The Little Mermaid. So this follows much more closely the Hans Christian Andersen version of The Little Mermaid, so it's very dark. Our main character, Gaia, is the daughter of the Sea King, and women, they are like the female mermaids are treated very badly. They're very much treated like in a very old school manner. They're like supposed to present themselves in a certain way. They get married off to rich men that they don't actually like, and they're just there for the entertainment of the men. And Gaia's mother disappeared a long time ago, and her father always talks about how she abandoned her and the rest of her sisters, and just speaks like really badly of her while treating his daughters like absolute trash. And on your 15th birthday, when you're a mermaid, that is when you're allowed to go to the surface. And for the first time, and she goes to the surface and she's witnessing these humans on a yacht, and they are shipwrecked, and she saves the one boy and just like has an insta love connection with this boy that she rescued, and then she's determined to go, like the classic story that we know, up where the humans are. I want to be where the people are. And so she goes to the sea witch, and she manages to make a bargain with her, but the proviso is that she doesn't just lose her voice, she hacks her tongue out of her face, which is fucking crazy. And then she's going to have feet, but it's always going to be painful. It's going to be like ridiculously painful. Her feet are going to bleed. It's going to be like agony every time she walks. So she goes up and she gets found by this boy, and then she lives in his house with her, but she can't speak. But he is not the person that she really thought that he was, and it becomes very clear very quickly that she has romanticized this situation quite dramatically, and things are not like the Disney movie portrays them to be, and it's really dark and really gritty and gross and raw. It's just very, very well executed, and it's funny because it's YA, but at the back it says it contains adult themes and may be unsuitable for younger readers, because there are some instances of assault and stuff like that in this book. So it's a very my hook. It's a very real and raw look at like a completely unromanticized version of what The Little Mermaid could have been, and I thought it was really well done. So it lived up to all the hype. And then the last book that I read is so far my favorite book of the year, and that is The Safekeep by Yael van der Wouden. This book, it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize in 2024, and it won the Women's Prize in 2025, and I can totally see why. I got this recommendation from Jen Campbell talking about either the Booker Prize or the Women's Prize. I can't remember which one she was talking about specifically, but she recommended this one, and I got it from, my mom got it for me at the airport in Heathrow, and oh my god, because I dropped my hook, it's covered in grolly. It's covered in grolly. Oh no. Yeah, it's just like there's so much to this book, but it's not written on the back, and going into it not knowing those things, it's just I was enthralled. I was paging through this book so fast. I was like pushing through being tired so that I could just read that little bit more because it's so good. But I can't tell you these things because you need to go into this book not knowing in order to get the impact of it. So we're following our main character Isabel, and this takes place in 1960. So the adults in this book, they're all adults, but the people in this book all grew up during the war. They were kids during the war. Or teenagers during the war. And Isabel lives in their family home, even though it's not actually bequeathed to her. And she lives in their family home. She's very solitary. She's very in control of everything. She is very intense about having control over every single aspect of her life, and like not letting a lot of emotion in. And she's very solitary. Like she sees this man occasionally, but like whenever he touches her, she gets like this sinking, like sick feeling in her stomach, and her brother's just saying to her like, no, that's just excitement. That's like, you know, it's normal to feel like a little weird when you're interacting with someone that you are dating or that you're courting. But she just feels so uncomfortable. And then her other brother decides one day to bring over his girlfriend. He's going away to work in Brighton, and this is set in the Netherlands, and he wants Isabel to let his girlfriend come and stay with her at the house. And Isabel is pissed, and he's like, he pulls the, well, this is actually my house card, and she goes, well, fine. And she starts to have to, and then she has to live with this girl that she really doesn't like. She's very friendly, she's very outgoing. Isabel thinks she's quite silly. It's just, they just don't get along. Isabel is just like determined not to get along with her, and then yeah, things start to happen that bring these two women together in a way that I wouldn't have expected, and it is so beautifully written. Yael van der Wouden, like, I can't believe this is her debut. It's so beautifully wrought, and the way that things twist and the way reveals happen is just so freaking skillful. It's so well done, so well done. Please read the Safekeep. I can't tell you all of the juicy bits, but I promise you there's juice in here. There's juice. And that is it. That was really hard for me to do because I have to count on all of these. There's 7. So I was trying to talk to you and count at the same time, and your girl does not have that kind of brain power. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below what you thought. Please pick up the Safekeep. Like, if you want to get a recommendation, I mean, The Feast as well. I absolutely loved The Feast, but the Safekeep is definitely one of like the best book that I've read so far this year. So if you are interested, please grab it for yourself. The link to my TikTok and my Instagram are down below, along with my Shopify for my crochet creations. At the moment, I'm having a fight with Shopify when it comes to their payment methods. So if you want to order from me, just send me a DM, and we can sort out an order that way. But yeah, there's also a Kofi link down there, which is a one-time tip jar if you ever want to support my channel and the content that I create. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I'll check you next time.